Alright, welcome back to the Roblox course, and in this lecture we're going to take a look at how to add a leaderboard to our game. Now, we're going to look at this leaderboard with, let's say, two things. We're going to add two variables to it, let's say, a gold variable and a level variable. And the idea is that, once again, this is just sort of as an introduction to how this might look. There are so many ways in which you could use the leaderboard, it's insane. But the great thing is that Roblox actually has so many, added like things already in there. It's great to use instead of having to build your own. So first things first, we're gonna add a new script once again into our server script service, and this is gonna be renamed to leaderboard. We're just gonna name this leaderboard, and of course, because I can't live without them, a nice headline here called leaderboard. I'm going to say local players. So what we want is we actually going to get the first service. Now, what exactly service is and a brief overview over services is going to be talked about in, I think, in 2 lectures. Well, let's say in the next few lectures, we're going to talk about specifically services, what they are, how they work, what type of services there are. We won't get to every service because there are like 100 services or something like that. It's an insane amount of things that we can use, and this is also why it's so great that there are so many ways that we can do things. So as you can see here, so those are all of the services that are in here. It's not quite 100, I guess, but it's a lot of services. And the one we want is the players service. Now, we have seen this done a little bit differently last time, and how we have done this is we have done this by using game.players, and this also gets us the player service. So this is just something that I wanted to mention quickly, because this is another way that we can do this. Now, what we want is we want a local function here, which is going to be called leaderboard setup. Let's just call it leaderboard setup. And it's going to take a player as a parameter. And what happens is we're going to actually put this in. We're going to connect this, and I'm going to do this immediately. So we're going to do players.playerAdded. Now, we've already seen this event. This event is fired each time that a new player is added to the game. And we're just going to call the leaderboard setup then. And the idea here is that when this happens, we simply add this leaderboard to the player. So we're going to have a leaderboard stats, and this is going to be or we're just going to also call it leader stats, that's fine. This is going to be instance.new. So we're going to create a new instance of something, making sure that we actually write instance correctly. And this is going to be a folder. So we're just going to make a new folder, and we're going to call this, that name is going to be, leader stats, I guess, right? Something like that. And then leader stats.parent is going to be the player. So this is going to be the player that we happens to, connect to our game. And then the way we can create new variables here is, variables for the leaderboard is going to be something like this. It's going to be a local gold, so we're going to create gold first. This is going to be instance.new, and this is going to be an int value. So this is just an integer, basically. Gold.name, or a number, let's say. Gold.name. This is the name that is displayed in the leaderboard. Gold. Then we're going to have a gold.value. This is the default value that it takes. So every time a new person comes on, this is the default value that they get. And then gold.parent is going to be leader stats. And then we're going to add another one. And the way we can do this, we can simply copy this and then change this up. It's going to be level. The name is going to be level. And then level here as well. Making sure to copy this and then just quickly pasting it in. And we're going to start at 1, let's say, just for the sake of argument, right? And that's basically all that we need to do in order for this to work. So each time a new player connects, this is going to be run, this function, and it's going to create a new folder inside of our player called leader stats. Now, what is very important is that this is actually something that needs to be the right name. This is the name. This name cannot change. This is why this has to be leader stats. If this is not leader stats, the leaderboard will not be created and Roblox will not be able to actually use this. So that's very, very important. Leader stats is the name that it has to be, right? So let's just create it and see what happens. And when we join in, oh, look at this. We have 0 gold and 1 level. Isn't that amazing? Right, and because it's very boring to just have a leaderboard and you can't do anything with it, I thought that what would be the most interesting thing that we can do right now is we have added the click detector last time. And why not try and just, each time you click it, you get 1 gold out of it. How does that sound? I think that that is a brilliant idea, and we're going to do this. Now, the great thing about this is because the player is passed in here, what we can do is we can just get the leader stats by just simply playing player.leaderstats. And because we know that each player inside of our game has the leader stats folder, we can just get it. And then what we can do is we can say, well, what we want is we want the gold stat. So this is basically the gold, the statistic or the stat, the value of gold. And this is going to be done by doing leader stats, and then we're going to say leader stats find first child called gold. Right, and by doing this, this basically allows us to, ask this gold stat in an if statement. Okay, if this actually exists, then we can simply say gold stat dot value plus equals 1. So the idea is that this is just a way of, making sure that this actually exists and that this is a child that exists inside of the leader stats, right? Because if it doesn't, well, then, we can't add 1 to it. So let's then play this and see what happens. So first things first, we can see players there, and then there is a folder called leader stats, and inside of it, we have the int value gold and the int value level. Now we could, of course, change it here, but that would be very fun. That would be cheating. So let's see. When we click this, we should get 1 gold. And there we go. And we still get the you click me, of course, but we also get 1 gold. And each time I click it, I will get another gold. So that's pretty cool, I would say. This is some way of doing this. Now, of course, we're not storing this anywhere, so if I join again, we're going to have 0 gold again, but storing is something that's way more advanced. That is definitely in something for the intermediate section. But yeah, that's a rough overview of leaderboards. Like I've said, they are really good, and they are one of the services, let's say, that can be used, fresh out of Roblox. We almost have to do nothing to facilitate, a good leaderboard. And yeah, that's really good. So if there are any questions, of course, always feel free to ask. And if you found this insightful and informative, I would, of course, really appreciate a review or a rating. And yeah,